We're live. Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Well, the only people that are here right now live are Liz and myself, because she is just now sending out the what do you call them? Notices?
Notices, yeah. And I got to go back and correct the one on Facebook. So here
Okay.
we go here now.
Wow. Do you hear that? All those sirens? Or is that
I
you?
do. No,
or is that mine?
That's you.
Oh. Okay. They're on to me. I thought I had shaken them earlier, but apparently not. Oh, I need to find a sound effect. I don't know if I have it or not. Wow.
That doesn't sound.
Something big is happening.
Something's going on there.
Yeah, if you see something behind me in the camera, let me know. Like, Jeff, run.
That was me. Sorry, I went over to look at YouTube for a minute.
I didn't hear anything, actually.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear that?
Oh.
Old darn thing's going down the tubes. Hey, there's Tanya.
There she
Hello,
is.
Tanya. When are you going to be getting here? What do you think of the camera? I'm using my iPhone as the camera. It's called
Pretty good.
called Camo. It's pretty good. So I can go to I can do lens. I can do ultra wide. Whoa! Look at that.
That's kind of cool.
And then I can do.
Ooh, nice T-shirt.
I know. I thought you'd appreciate that.
Tanya's getting there Wednesday evening, Jeff.
Okay. Look
A
forward to
late
seeing you,
ride.
Tanya. Late when? Wednesday? Next week?
That's
Ah, okay. Slacker.
it. Now, have you noticed just in the day that you've been there, is it filling up at all, or is it still pretty empty?
Yeah, I was surprised at how full already the campground is. I mean, there's spaces available, but there are a lot of people here. Before I got here, I think,
Well,
whoa.
I saw a post somebody did. I think it's an air traffic controller at Chicago Center,
Uh-huh.
and he said that he has heard that it's going to be the busiest Oshkosh ever. Whoa, that's scary.
It is. I believe it because, yeah, it's crazy right now. Let me back out of this. That's just not good.
Now, have you met some of your fellow Camp Bacon campers yet?
I have met Ken Mist in the. He's a Canadian.
I was going to say he's Canadian, I believe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he got here pretty early. I think he was like one of the first to help kind of map out the space for Camp Bacon. And then I got to briefly meet the acting mayor, Dan Coyne. He was there yesterday just a little bit after I got there, and he ended up renting or borrowing a travel trailer.
Okay.
And the guy, they had it on a pickup truck, and they got it situated right next to my spot. And then he took off and said he's going to be back on Friday, I think. That's nice.
Yeah, here's the yelling.
Yeah. Well, see, I picked the spot, and like nobody else was here. And now that I'm getting ready to do a show, it's getting busier. Somebody's climbing one of these trees for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Okay, that's interesting.
Might have something to do with the yelling. Are they looking for something, maybe, that got lodged in there? Maybe a drone or something? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so look forward to seeing you, Tanya. Okay, I was looking for something. That's right. I just, my brain's all over the place. That's normal.
Oh, there's Greg Peterson. Hi, Greg.
Greg Peterson, our big-ass fan. He's still our big-ass fan in Lexington.
Always will
Yep.
be.
Regardless of where you work, man. Let's see. Namananat. How would you spell namananat? Nama. Na 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 na.
Dun, da, da, da,
Na
da.
na. Na 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 na. Huh?
Something's going down.
I hope that the person in the tree isn't, like, in a rapid way.
Hoping the person in the tree wasn't on a parachute or something before.
No, I watched her climb up
What's with her?
into it, and
Maybe she's some kind of ecological warrior protesting against.
podcasters.
Yeah. Protesting against APG.
Yeah, well, wouldn't be the first time. No, it would be the first time.
I'm just going to step away for a second. I got to
Sure.
feed the animals. I'll be right back.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll entertain the troops, which right now not a huge number of troops. We have Greg and Tanya. You are the troops. Okay. See, I'm trying to find that sound effect. What is that? I think the tree that they're trying to scale or climb is one of those trees, like when, it drops things on the ground, and if you step on them, it like is very painful. It's like some kind of a pine. And apparently maybe they're encountering that at some stage in this. I don't know what they're doing. Anyway. Let me see if I can find this out. So I'm in Menominee Park. Menominee. Yeah, was that somebody murdered in the background? I hope not, Dan. But I did hear some sirens earlier, so I have to say, it could be some kind of a murder going on. Only murders in the park. Has anybody seen or watched? I know Liz and I watch Only Murders in the Building. Steve Martin, Martin Short, Selena Gomez, and other actors, actresses that you probably would recognize. It's a cute little thing on. I'm watching it on Hulu. I think it's on Paramount, maybe. I'm not sure. Well, I was telling Liz when I first set up here, it was nice and quiet. But it's getting noisier. And I do apologize for the sound of the wind. It's very windy here. See? Told you. Sorry. They even have a dead cat to oh, wait a minute. Maybe if I do that, aim it this direction. No, I did not say erection.
Nick Camacho and Dan Renner and Mark Anderson.
Nick Camacho?
Nick Camacho, there he is.
What are you doing there?
He said he was busy this afternoon. He's probably just.
Okay. Yeah. I would imagine you are you. Well, I guess I can talk to you in private, but I know you had to go out to California, or you're about to go to. Maybe you're in California. I don't know. For the personal thing. Hopefully, everything is going well with that. You have a dead cat to what, Jeff? Arouse suspicion? Yeah, to throw everybody off, Nick. to throw everybody off the scent of the dead human body. I have a dead cat.
Oh, he's patiently awaiting a meeting in 1 minute.
Ah, okay.
That means it's going to start on time. The show.
Huh?
It's meeting is going to start on time?
I don't know.
Yes, Nick is in California now.
Okay.
Should we get this baby underway, Nick? Yeah?
We probably should. Do we need to talk about any of the slides? Did you look through those?
I have not.
Okay. Oh, what happened to them? Here, let me put them back.
I'll put them back.
Oh, I got them. Okay, I'll let you play with it.
Yep.
That's what she said. What was I going to say?
Should we get going?
Yeah. Let me. So I'm on a battery Jackery 240. So not a big battery / inverter. It's not a huge capacity. I have a very large capacity one on order, not by Jackery but a different company. But that won't arrive until September. So that does me no good. I do have a Honda generator that's in the trunk of my car, but I'm pretty sure that would be like a no-no to operate a generator in a state park. So I'm not even going to try that. I'm set up on a picnic table at Menominee Park, Menominee State Park, on the shore of Lake Winnebago. And maybe at some, I can pan it right now. Here we go. All right. I don't know why the focus is doing weird stuff.
Is that some setting you have on or something?
Well, it might be, but I can't figure out how to turn it off. I know it used to be that little thing on the menu bar that you click on, and then it said portrait, and I don't see it anymore. They disappeared.
No, he's using his hotspot, Greg. No, he's not using Starlink.
No, because I'm in the midst of trees, and Starlink you can't do trees. I mean, you have to be well clear. You have to have like a 90% view of the sky to get, so you don't have dropouts. So I'm using a Nighthawk 5G Wi-Fi, cellular hotspot, designed specifically for just data only hotspot, not a phone. It's faster. Turn the background blur off. Yeah, thank you, Greg. Would you tell me how to do that? Please? I'm patiently awaiting you telling me, because I used to know how to do it, but then they changed the user interface, and now I don't see how to do that. Would really like to know. I really would. Okay, Mr. Smart Alec. I'm waiting. Start typing. Anybody?
What?
Anybody in the chat room know how to turn off the background blur? No. Okay, so here's the deal. My Jackery 240 kilowatt hour. I'm not sure exactly what. That couldn't be a kilowatt hour. Anyway, this battery is at 61%, which means that we're not going to go for 3 hours. I guarantee that. And I'm running everything off of that battery. So, this is part one, apparently. Okay, let me get to the soundboard, soundbite, and go over here to current show. Oh, I don't think Roger did a thing for the show, did he?
Yep, he sent it on Monday.
Okay. Do we have just a moment for me to quickly put that together?
Yep.
Okay.
The time is yours.
Yeah.
Trying to be mindful.
I'm running out of time. I think I just noticed something day before yesterday on my arm. I think it's cancer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not very happy about that.
Let's see.
So I guess I'm gonna have to see a dermatologist when I. Huh?
This will be your last show then?
It might be.
This is your
Thanks.
farewell show?
This could be my farewell show. Does skin cancer actually Do you go quick?
I don't know, but
I hope not.
okay.
I'm glad we can joke around about it.
We joke around about everything.
I know. Oh man, yeah. I keep hoping that maybe it was just something I bumped into and like it's just a weird bruise, but I don't think so. I think it's skin cancer. Okay.
Melanoma, they should be able to.
Excuse me?
If it's not melanoma, they should be able to treat it.
Yeah, I hope so. What if they just chop my arm off? Can they just do that?
Sure, I guess.
But that would,
You'd probably be retired pretty fast.
yeah, I would be on sick leave retirement for the rest of my, and then I'd have to. I guess I could drive the leisure travel van with one arm. A lot of people do a lot of things with one arm, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You got to look at the bright side, people.
Always look on
The bright. Was that Life of Brian?
We do. We do.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Focus. Mail plane. And
Right.
look for Radio Roger. You said Monday?
I believe it was Monday.
Okay. Probably.
Monday or Tuesday.
It was good when I was on my journey up here. I did a lot of things happened that. Here it is. Hope you're having a blast on your road trip. Okay, so it went right to that, so I must have known. Did I already download that? Maybe I did. That would be helpful. Dropbox, current
Hi,
show.
Mike and Tim. Glad you found your way here. Sorry about I put the wrong link up first. That confused everybody.
I still hear is your air conditioning still making that weird
Yeah.
ringing
sorry,
noise?
do you want me
Okay.
to turn it off?
No,
I don't want.
I don't want. No. Just don't worry about it. Just so that people know they're going to be going, Jeff, there's some kind of a weird noise, and I'm going to say, well, no, it's Liz, not
Weird
me.
air conditioning. Sorry.
The weird noises from me are the wind
Right.
and the person screaming that's climbing that tree for some unknown reason. And 3 people are looking up into the tree at this person.
Nobody has a gun trying to shoot her out of the tree, do they?
No, not yet. Okay, APG 529 intro? No.
5:30.
Okay, well, maybe I didn't download it. Dropbox, current show, save. Okay. Now, go over here. And, Mike, when are you getting up here again? Okay, here we go. And then we're going to go back over here to Reaper. And then they're they sound agitated over there.
They do. It doesn't sound like a pleasant encounter.
I don't know what. The only thing I can surmise is that whoever's in the tree they're trying to retrieve something. I was thinking maybe it was like a
Banner?
drone or something up there
maybe.
that may have like crashed it. I don't know.
They were trying to film you doing your podcast.
That's it. They're spying on me. The NSA.
Yeah.
Okay. Split.
Acme HR.
Oh, is it? You think that maybe Steph has sent a spy over here just to watch over all this?
Yeah. She thought there might be some shenanigans.
No, that never happens on our show. Okay. Can you hear this?
WAPG.
Boy, I can.
A little loud.
Yeah. It was loud for me, too. Hang on.
WAPG. It's the airline pilot guy. Airline pilot guy episode.
Very funny, Tim.
530.
Branch manager.
Yeah, he's up in the sky.
Very clever.
Airline pilot guy.
Okay, 2 of the 3 are walking
You're
away.
listening to the Airline Pilot Guy show, the view from our
They're
side
having
of the
a
cockpit door.
little meeting.
Your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from Mobile Studio 1, somewhere between Georgia and Wisconsin. Today,
No,
the
in
show is
Wisconsin.
recorded on the week of July 18th.
That's true.
In today's episode,
Sorry, are you
the
starting the
final
show now?
report on the...
Huh?
Are you listening to the whole thing? Is this the start of the show?
No. I'm still putting together his intro.
In today's episode, the final report on electronic devices 30 is ready for pushback.
Okay. Now I'm going to save it, and I'm going to do this and
Yeah,
do...
just Jeff and I today. Sorry.
And it may... Oh, are they already complaining that it's just you and me?
I'm just explaining that we're not waiting for anyone else.
Yeah.
Captain Nick
No.
was a tired guy and he had to go to bed. And Steph is busy. And Nick's Macho's at work and Rick is out flying. So just us guys. And I think Tim, I think Jeff's sound is going to be a bit of a challenge here outside, but thanks. Tim Van Ram saying you're a bit overmodulated, but
Oh, I am? Okay. Well, then I can back off. How about now? Was that better?
I
Tim,
think it
are you
is.
taking Micah's position here?
Sounds like it. The left coast is taking over from the right coast.
Am I still modulated, Tim? I turned down the gain on the mic. That's not funny, Greg. It's not. It's not going to be a.
Is kind of funny.
It's not going to be a full show. I can tell you that.
Here we go. Whoa.
I don't know what's going to happen first. My data running out on my little hotspot over here, or the battery powering everything.
Well,
We're gonna
I'm
find
really, yeah, Mark Anderson saying it's better, Jeff. I'm impressed you've got it working. This is good. I mean, you've got it all working.
Yeah, I mean, I thought theoretically this was going to work.
Didn't forget anything, or it's pretty good.
Yeah, and I have equipment all over this. But thank goodness it's a big picnic table. Okay.
Ready to go?
Yeah, this is kind of an experiment, folks. Doing this without anything plugged into a wall outlet, and I got the Mac M1 Mini, and then my iPad Pro 12.9. That's my screen. I have the Zoom F4 using it as a recorder. Now I'm recording. And I'm using the Zoom F control as a hardware console. And my phone is the camera today, iPhone 11 Pro, and it's I'm using something called Camo, which is awesome. This is the first time I'm using it, and it's lovely. And then there's somebody in a tree over there, and somebody's yelling.
So basically, everybody, you're guinea pigs, and you just got to.
Yeah, you're all guinea pigs. And again, everything was so quiet when I first set up here.
It's ambiance, Jeff. Let's
You know
get
what?
on with it.
This almost seems to me now that is some kind of a drama. She's upset maybe with the people.
Yeah, I think
that
it's some kind of
she's-
psychological warrior or something.
Yeah, and she just decided to get up into this tree just to like upset everybody, and she's
The
not
green
coming
party.
down. Now she's yelling.
I can hear her. Okay,
Perfect.
let's
Yeah,
go.
well, I'm glad that this is all happening. Thank you. Thank you. Do I need to not do this?
No, it's fine. Really, it's just background noise. It's not.
But usually it's getting louder and louder.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we're just going to do it, I guess. Let me get... maybe I should start Evernote.
That was a good
since,
idea.
since that's... Otherwise, I wouldn't know anything to say. Current show. And
Sounds
I need my
quiet.
staff here with me. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you need your security detail.
Okay. I think this
Now
is going to
you're-
get really interesting. Maybe
What, are there police coming or something?
I have a feeling they may be, actually. I don't see any yet,
Here's
but
something that sounds like a lawnmower.
that's a motorcycle. It's like a Harley Davidson. And, right. That's a lady screaming. Radio Roger, intro 5:30, open, save, and tell me if the volume's okay.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side.
Too loud?
Yeah. No, sounds
Good.
good to me.
All right, Liz. Here
Okay,
goes
Jeff.
APG
Here goes
5.
nothing.
Yeah, here goes nothing. APG 530 Part 1. Now.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy episode 530.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy show, the view from our side of the cockpit door. With your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from Mobile Studio 1, somewhere between Georgia and Wisconsin. Today's show is recorded on the week of July 18th.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. It's your ride and he's flying by with the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, the final report on the crash that killed well-known pilot Dale Snodgrass. A parachute saves the pilot when a plane crashes on a street in Belgium. More news and your feedback. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 530 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He is an award-winning TV and radio reporter currently at the number one all-news station in the nation. 1010 wins in
New York City.
Hi there. You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast where we cover the latest in aviation news and answer your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, a pilot at a major legacy airline based in Atlanta, GA, and joining me today from her studio, a place to stand, a place to grow, retired financier and aviation enthusiast, spreadsheet master, and our producer, it's Liz Piper.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Jeff.
Hi. Good to see you. Thank you for being my only co-host today, at least
I
for
know.
part one of 5:30. We're doing a little bit something different, as you can see behind me. I'm outside. The wind all of a sudden has kind of died down a little bit. Let's cross our fingers.
Yay.
Hope it stays that way. I am in Wisconsin, in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and I'm at the Menominee State Park, which is on the shores of Lake Winnebago, the
You can see
western
the lake
shore.
there in the background, I think.
Yeah, I think, it's kind of fuzzy. I haven't figured out how to turn off the blurred focus behind me. Oh, here comes the wind, of course. Anyway, I hopefully you'll be able to hear me, understand me, have pity on me, etc. But we're going to try this show. It's kind of an experiment, doing all of this without anything plugged into a electrical outlet, and so
Off the
it's
grid.
completely off the grid for sure, except connecting to the internet part. But anyway, so we're going to
I'm
have.
going to be here audio. I'm just going to take my
Okay.
video out.
Okay, so Liz is going to be with us, and you're going to be able to hear all of her control room directions to me, and any snarky / helpful comments that she might have regarding our show and our coverage of aviation news. And speaking of that, let's go right into the news.
Stand by for news.
All right, we're going to start with, something is happening here, live breaking news in the foreground, not the background, that's behind me. The foreground in front of me here, there is some type of a pine tree, and a young lady has climbed up into it. She is under some sort of distress. I don't know if it's physical distress. I think it may be more like emotional distress. But she is clambering down from said tree, and I'm hoping that the yelling and screaming will come to a stop very soon. So let's find out. Anyway, I'm going to move on to this first item in our news notebook, and it is the NTSB releasing their final report on Dale Snodgrass crash in Lewiston, Idaho. This is from Plane and Pilot magazine. And let's see, the highly respected pilot failed to remove the control lock from the plane he was flying before takeoff. In a final report that is unusual in many respects, the National Transportation Safety Board concluded that the crash that killed the well-known and highly experienced pilot Dale Snodgrass in 2021 was caused by the pilot's failure to remove the control lock from the plane. A SIAI Marchetti SM-1019B before his takeoff from Lewiston Nez Perce County Airport in Idaho. Great, now we have car alarms going off. This is fun. Anyway, in Idaho, the accident sequence, which was recorded in high quality, shows the plane lifting off and the nose pitching up sharply just before an altitude of around 80 feet. It rolled to the left, the nose dropped, and it impacted the ground in an extreme nose-low attitude, killing the pilot and destroying the plane. Dale Snodgrass was a highly experienced and highly respected aviator, a former naval aviator and current airshow performer. The board wrote he had around 6,500 hours of time as a civilian pilot at the time of his last medical. A few months before the crash, Snodgrass had purchased this plane, often referred to as the Italian Bird Dog, though this model was modified with a Rolls-Royce M250-B17B turboprop engine instead of a conventional gas piston internal combustion engine. Snodgrass had around 20 hours in the plane. The flight, which the NTSB concluded was under no time pressure, was to the pilot's vacation home, around 20 minutes away from the Lewiston Nez Perce. Is it P-E-R-C-E? I'm thinking Perce County Airport? I'm not sure. The board closely inspected the nature of the control lock in the plane and concluded from its extensive examination of the wreckage and interviews with experts in the aircraft type that it had been installed at the time of the crash. So it wasn't, at the time, you're ready to fly, that control lock needs to be not locked because you can't move the controls. There were no other pre-impact abnormalities with the engine or airframe, it also concluded. When it is installed, the control lock, which is painted red, is immediately below the pilot's knees, and despite its bright color, can be difficult for the pilot to see. Now, Liz, did you show all the slides already? Okay. Yeah, you'll see in the, I believe it's the second one.
That's what I got up now.
Okay. You can clearly see it there, but if you look at the next one, this is what you see sitting in the pilot seat. You can barely see it down there. So the perspective is interesting. If you don't adhere to your checklist, you could miss the fact that you have a control lock in place, and that's apparently what happened here. The device allows full rudder use, but disables the ailerons and elevator, so it allows the plane to be taxied with the control lock in place, but doesn't allow the pilot to input elevator or aileron inputs. In one near disaster noted by the investigators, a pilot described how he had taken off with the lock installed, but was able to just barely uninstall it. That scared me. That's a motorcycle starting. Thank you. Sounds good. Okay. In one near disaster noted by investigators, a pilot described how he had taken off with the lock installed, but was able to just barely uninstall it, enough to allow him to recover before the plane would have crashed. In the Snodgrass crash, The pilot seemed to become aware at the last second of the mistake he had made. Yeah, you'll recall that we did, shortly after this crash occurred, we did play a little excerpt of that little video as the airplane took off and crashed. I decided not to play it again because it's kind of gruesome. No. And he was using expletives to kind of voice his he wasn't
Shock.
very happy. His shock, yeah, that he had forgotten to, again, they're surmising he forgot to unlock the control lock. And at that point, there was pretty much nothing to do. The elevator trim was found in the full forward position, an indication that the pilot was attempting to lower the nose as it rose after takeoff. Yeah, so very unusual. This is a very highly experienced pilot, but that just goes to show you, I guess, that you have to always be methodical and deliberate when it comes to checklist usage, and you can't let anything distract you. I know it's easier said than done, but if he had just taken a little bit more time, perhaps he would still be with us, and he'd probably be here at Oshkosh for the air show, I bet. Anyway, rest in peace. So again, that's the final report put out by the NTSB regarding the crash, and links to the report will be in the show notes. Moving on to the next item.
Mark Anderson's got a good comment there, Jeff, just before you move on.
Okay, let me check out Mark Anderson. Can't beat the control lock in the Cessna 172, which blocks you from putting in the ignition key and starting the engine with the lock in place. Yeah, it would be kind of tough to take off with it like that, huh? Okay.
Pretty safe.
All right. I need to adjust that a little bit. There we go. Okay. Now, let's go back to our news. B. A Meridian AN-12 near Kavala on July 16th, 2022 impacted ground after engine trouble. Let's see. Registration Uniform Romeo Charlie India Charlie
Sorry.
performed flight. No problem. Oh, bless you.
Poppy.
Flight. Oh, that was Poppy?
Yeah.
Was that she barking? Okay, I thought maybe that was you sneezing.
No. It's Poppy.
Okay.
I don't know what you're talking.
Okay. Hey, Poppy. Flight 3032 from Nice, Serbia to Amman, Jordan, with 8 people on board, was en route at flight level 210 over the Aegean Sea when the aircraft began to lose altitude. The crew reported engine trouble and turned around towards landing in Greece. The aircraft attempted to land in Kavala, but cut a power line and impacted the ground about 17 nautical miles west of the airport in an open field near Baliatori, Kavalas village, and burst into flames, leaving a wreckage trail of about 160 meters, 525 feet in length. The rescue teams found no survivors. Sources within the Greek Civil Aviation Authority reported the crew reported engine problems and requested to divert to Kavala. However, contact with the aircraft was lost on approach. Ground observers reported that the aircraft appeared to have been on fire while still airborne. Oh, that's right. There was a video here, and I forgot to load that up. Oh well. We'll have that in the show notes. You can watch the video. Some witness actually took some cell phone video, and you can see, and it was dark, and you could see this kind of fireball going through the sky and then hitting the ground and then becoming a very large fireball. The fire appeared to have expanded from the engine onto the wing. After impact, a fireball rose from the ground. Emergency services report that although it's unclear what the aircraft was carrying, they treated the freight as hazardous materials. Specialists are on their way to the site. On July 17th, 2022, Serbia's Minister of Defense reported that the aircraft carried 11.5 tons of Serbian-made defense products, mortar training missiles, purchased by Bangladesh's defense ministry. The aircraft was to make technical stops in Amman, Jordan, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Ahmedabad, India, before reaching its final destination in Dhaka, in Bangladesh. The transport was in line with all international law and had all relative permits. So nothing shady going on here, apparently. On July 17, 2022, Meridian Limited confirmed the death of their 8 crew. Yeah, so that's what we know now. Report is ongoing to determine what happened here. Again, as you would assume that an airplane would be able to carry on and land safely with an engine failure, but if the engine's on fire and then in turn the wing becomes engulfed in flames, then you have a different situation. Maybe they were just trying to get it on the ground as fast as they could. They thought they had a clear landing path, but they didn't see the high tension cables, electrical cables, and they ended up hitting that, and that was the end of that. All right. Anything that I should mention? Let's see. Any comments from the Peanut Gallery? Nope. Okay.
Nope.
They're quiet. Okay. Going back to
This is
this,
one from Micah. Micah sent this in.
Oh, Micah sent this. Is Micah with us yet, or is he still
Haven't seen him yet. Haven't seen him.
absent without leave? AWOL.
No.
All right. New Navy flight mask could prep aviators to avoid blacking out mid-flight. Both the Navy and Air Force have struggled for years to combat physiological episodes, potentially deadly emergencies. The Navy recently demonstrated a new training device designed to help prepare its pilots for potential emergencies in the air by having them feel the effects of oxygen deprivation while safely on the ground, the latest tool in the service's years-long struggle with the phenomena known as physiological episodes. Now, just stopping, this is not in the article, this is Jeff speaking. You've heard Captain Nick and I talk about several times on previous episodes where when we were in the military, and I'm assuming they still do this, but maybe not. Yeah, I think they still do. I think Captain Craig was telling us about his experience in the altitude chamber, the barometric chamber, and where you kind of, they take you up to, 40-something thousand feet. Obviously, you're still on the ground, but you're in this chamber that's on the ground, specially made for this. And then you take your mask off, and you start, doing little. Well, actually, you start doing little simple tests like arithmetic problems and basic spelling. And of course, I think most people would miss spelling these days, regardless of their oxygen levels. And
Use of apostrophes.
And the use of apostrophes. Yeah, Liz. Anyway, so you do all these little things, and then you take the mask off, and then what you're looking for are the signs of hypoxia. And everybody's physiological signs are a little bit different. And but you get cyanosis, like your fingernails turn blue. My fingernail, right? Whoops, I'm not flipping the bird. My fingernail turned black, and it had nothing to do with hypoxia, because I smashed it into something. The lid of my brand new Yeti cooler, I was emptying it out, and then it slammed into my finger. Yeah, it wasn't very smart.
Did you say any bad words?
I may have, under my breath. Anyway, so I guess maybe they've been trying to figure. And it's a very expensive apparatus to maintain, to purchase and maintain these barometric chambers. So I would imagine they're trying to, find a way to save some money and get these to more bases and that sort of thing. And so what comes to mind to me is, I think a few years ago. Now maybe some of you in the live audience can say yay or nay that I'm thinking about this properly or not. But I think that the FAA had some kind of a demonstrator that they brought here to Oshkosh. I don't know if they've done that in recent years, where you wear some kind of a mask apparatus that restricts the flow of oxygen, and you kind of get to experience a little bit of hypoxia symptoms. So that's what I'm reminded of when it comes to this new device that they call mask on breathing device, MOBD. However, I think this is more than just some kind of a simple restrictive breathing device. I looked into this a little bit. What are we laughing about?
Tim Benram.
What is he saying?
Hypoxia side effect is climbing trees and yelling.
Yeah, but hey, I'm happy to report that it looks like the climber
Just reoxygenate.
And Yeller and Screamer and the crowd that had gathered around, they're gone. They have exited stage left.
Short
stage
attention
right.
span.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's good. Now we just have to deal with
Birds.
the wind and the birds. But I like the birds.
I like the birds.
They're pretty. Anyway, so let me tell you a little bit about this new device that the Navy recently demonstrated. The mask-on breathing device was developed, which replaces and improves upon the legacy reduced oxygen breathing device by replicating two more breathing distress symptoms beyond hypoxia. The MOBD incorporates an innovative approach that produces nitrogen-rich air from the ambient environment, eliminating the logistical and financial burden of using the compressed gas cylinders that were required by the legacy system. Let's see, an official said it was designed to mimic the onboard oxygen generation system on-demand airflow and is a significant improvement over the legacy trainer, which has long been criticized for unintentional symptoms caused by its constant airflow. Okay. So anyway, they got this new thing that seems to be working out.
Working
Yes,
out.
Liz?
Yeah,
All right.
I just sort of saying unintentional symptoms sounds bad.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand exactly what
They're
they're
not being
saying.
very specific, so we don't know what it is.
No.
but-
At first, I was thinking that it had something to do with there were certain situations where your oxygen system goes into like an emergency mode, and you have you have to do pressure breathing, and and Nick has talked about this before. It's very difficult to breathe and to speak when you have a lot of high pressure oxygen being forced down your mouth and nose. And so I was thinking maybe this thing is designed to do that. But now that I've read it for the second time, I'm thinking maybe it's actually the opposite. I don't know. But maybe somebody out there with recent military experience can let us know about this new system. Yeah. All right, moving to item D. Pilots are cautioned over terrain and weather effects during approach to the new Hong Kong runway.
This doesn't sound good.
No. This is from flightglobal.com. Pilot representatives are urging crews to be particularly cautious. Okay. The new runway, 25 right, 7 left, is located to the north of the airport. Hong Kong's previous northern runway has been redesignated as a center runway, 25 center, 07 center, and is being closed for reconfiguration work. NOTAM information from the airport informs pilots that the ILS approach from the east to the new 25 right is a two-part process consisting of an area navigation transition and an ILS final segment. So it's like a hybrid approach, RNAV/ILS approach, I guess. This is due to proximity to terrain and possible glide slope interference by the terrain, says the International Pilot Federation, IFALPA, in a safety bulletin. Points out that Hong Kong's highest peak, Tai Mo Shan, which rises to over 3,200 feet, lies on the 25 right approach path. Well, that's no good. Hong Kong's third runway seen from the... Oh, this is the caption for the photo that you probably have already showed.
Yep, got it up.
All right. The area navigation part of the procedure takes inbound aircraft just south of the peak, requiring them to maintain a mandatory 3,800 feet over the nearby waypoint Sagni before descending to waypoint Topun at around 2,700 feet and crossing a point designated Victor Hotel 536, situated shortly before the final approach point at a required 1,800 feet. But the Federation cautions pilots could find that they are above the glide slope at Sagni under certain meteorological conditions, particularly if temperatures are high and during tailwinds. Conservative configuration may be required to achieve the published profile while avoiding ground proximity warnings, it states. The ILS approach commences from the waypoint Toppen, from where glide slope integrity can be guaranteed. Crews are being cautioned not to engage approach mode before reaching Toppen, and the Federation is warning that this crucial... See, I'm pronouncing that different ways every time I say it, just in case.
You'll hit on the right one.
I'm likely to get it right at some point. So it may not be easily visible on certain ILS approach charts. Descending via the area navigation transition and complying with the mandatory 1,800-foot height restriction at Victor Hotel 536 will enable glide slope capture from below before the final approach point. If the aircraft is already established on the glide slope before VH 536, the restriction does not apply. Okay.
Tim Van Ram is really hot this afternoon.
Is he? Is he the comedian in the house?
He is. Yeah, we don't have I-Haul boxes, but Tim's in.
You know, I see what he's talking about. That is very reminiscent of that. What was the name of that?
Mixed Field.
Meigs Field, yeah. It kind of looked like that. And then if you look to the right and all that dirt, that's what Meigs Field looked like after Mayor Daley had all the bulldozers bulldoze the darn thing. Wow. Yeah, he's on fire. You're right, Liz.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's
you have a
move
video
on.
for this next one?
I do. Yeah.
Yay.
All right, let me load it up. I should have done that before we started, and I didn't.
So set
That's
this
not-
baby up, Jeff.
All right, I'm going to set this baby up. Do you mean like using words or like loading up the video?
Just so that they know what they're going to see here.
Okay, so you're assuming that I can do all these things and button clicks and everything else in the background and talk at the same time? Okay, we'll give it a shot. Yeah, this involves a light sport aircraft or a sport aircraft, I think. I don't think they call it a light sport, but it does look, it's a small airplane, looks like some sort of trainer, kind of like a semi-T-tail that has one of those ballistic parachute, full all airplane parachute systems installed in it. And where is it? Some plane. Oh, here it is. Pilot deploys parachute. Okay, and apparently the pilot deployed the parachute, and in Belgium. And this particular video, Liz, is not the one that had the very clear
Ejection?
English expletives
Yeah,
going on.
very good. Very good.
So here we go. This I'm going to go ahead and pop it in the stream. This really, okay. Warning, contains video some may find distressing.
Yeah, we like it.
Okay. Pilot escaped serious injury by deploying a parachute.
But then he comes out. Isn't that him deploying himself out of the plane too?
No, I think that's some kind of
that
a
was
piece of
canopy or
something.
Oh,
Yeah,
got
and
it.
that. Oh, ow.
Bang.
Pilot
Like
only
that
sustained
said-
light injuries. Said he had lost control.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
due
guess
to
so.
technical difficulties. You want to see that again? Is that a phone? I mean, a car that's in the video, or is it a car somewhere here in this park that's honking? Okay, I don't hear it anymore.
honk.
Oh, that's not what I want. I want this. Let's try this again.
Not
Video
surprised.
that they're seeing of me is distressing. That might have been the expletives there.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
that
it comes on. I see what it is. Yeah, it's a piece of
like some. Maybe it was like the cover for the
yeah,
parachute
the cowl
or
like
something.
yeah.
Yeah, but ow. That is so. That just shows you that yeah, it's better than going straight down and crashing at full speed with the aid of gravity, but it's not. It's like probably like a parachute landing fall where it's like equivalent to jumping off a 10-foot wall. So it's not going to be a pleasant experience.
None of that blade will bend up all right.
Yeah, and the other thing that I find interesting, the Cirrus aircraft system, doesn't it bring the aircraft in like level? It doesn't bring
Yes,
it in
it
like
does.
nose first like this, does it?
Yeah, it's horizontal like, yeah.
Yeah, it's more horizontal. Yeah, yikes. That did not look like fun. Oh, I'm trying to remove that. Here we go.
Oh,
Nope.
oh my, sorry.
We're having a fight with control of removing the video. Okay, you know what? I'm going to remove it from the studio. There.
There, so there.
So there. Now what are you going to do?
No.
All right. Let
This is a
us-
nice one. This is a nice story.
Yeah. Thank you for always putting in a nice story.
I try.
Usually. Yeah. This is from simpleflying.com. A 10-foot Amelia Earhart statue to be unveiled at the U.S. Capitol. Amelia Earhart is to become the 11th woman inducted into the National Statuary Hall in Washington, D.C. Aviation pioneer Amelia Earhart will be cemented into history. Oh,
Oh.
really? Okay. As one of only 100 people to have a statue of their liking placed, or likeness, I think.
Likeness? Yeah, no, that's better.
Maybe the person from Simple
I don't know if
Flying.
she liked it or not. She's dead, so.
Yeah, okay. Ba-doom, bam. Anyway, the person writing this English may not be their primary language. We're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. The only 100 people to have a statue of their likeness placed in the U.S. Capitol Building's National Statuary Hall. This historic event will take place on July 27th. That's only a few days from now.
Next Wednesday.
And the aviator will be one of only 11 women in history with this honor. The Atchison Amelia, thank you. Hey, so this, people watching the video, this is the kind of thing that I normally hear. Now you're being treated to it because you can hear all that stuff going on in the background. It is a treat. It really is. The Atchison Amelia Earhart Foundation has announced the creation of a 10-foot tall, lifelike bronze statue of Amelia.
Oh, she was 10 feet tall?
I didn't know she was that. And she does appear to be pretty tall, but not 10 feet. That's amazing. I guess
it's lifelike. She must have been 10 feet tall.
That's right. Well, kind of like. The announcement comes 90 years after Earhart became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. Her life in aviation, as well as the records she broke, not only pushed aviation forward, but has inspired millions of women to follow their dreams. Let's see, at 11 o'clock on Wednesday, an official dedication ceremony will commence as a statue of the well-beloved aviator is inducted into the National Statuary Hall in the U.S. Capitol Building. Now, let's see, they're going to have a reception afterwards. The primary sponsors of this event are Blue Origin.
Like a good reception.
Yeah, Airbus Americas Incorporated and Spirit Aerosystems. And now,
that's not Spirit Airlines. That's Spirit.
Yeah, no, it's the company I think that makes the. I think they're somewhere in the Midwest, I believe, and they make airframes for like the 737 and that kind of thing. Fuselage. Now, the only thing that was kind of sad about this, I guess, is that, well, you know what? You put one in, you got to take one out. And Earhart's statue will replace the statue of former Senator John James Ingalls. This will make Laura Ingalls' dad, I think. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know who that is. This will make Earhart the 11th woman. Okay, we already heard that. Anyway, I guess this National Statuary Hall is, I guess each state can put in two. I guess they're in charge of deciding who they want.
Two of their sons and daughters?
Yeah, exactly. So I guess Earhart now is going to be the second one instead of John James. All right. Cool. Now, winds are starting to pick up. Let me look at my electrical battery level here. We're okay at 45%, so we're doing good. Doing well, I should say. And it's now time for this.
Getting to know Jeff.
Getting to know me. Because it's just me. Well, no, getting to know us. We can find out from Liz what's been going on with her.
Nothing going on here.
All right. Well, I have to say that there have been things going on with me because I am in. Here, I'm going to adjust my microphone. So watch your ears. There we go. I am in, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I left my the former APG headquarters building in Roswell, Georgia on Monday morning and broke up my little road trip up here into a couple of segments. The first being my Roswell, Georgia to Paducah, Kentucky. Just on, in western Kentucky, just to the north and west of the land between the lakes, where the Cumberland rivers and Tennessee rivers, and they flow into the Ohio River, and so it's on the Ohio River. And I found a nice little boutique hotel called the 1857 in downtown Paducah. Let me tell you, Paducah's not a big place, but it's nice, it's quaint. And had a good time, a very nice little boutique hotel. And what else? As I was filming a little short video clip while I was there on the Ohio River, a modern river cruise ship showed up to dock at, well, there's no dock there actually. It's kind of weird. I don't want to get into exactly how they did it, but I guess it was designed so they could just go up to the shore and they can put their own kind of loading whatever that thing is, and people can come on and off the ship.
It wasn't a paddle wheeler.
Was not a paddle wheeler, and I think the name of it was American Jazz or something like that. Anyway, so I did a little research. I was curious. I'm thinking, who was operating this and what kind of things they do, and they have like several different Mississippi River cruises, Ohio River cruises. This one I think was called the I forgot what it was called. Maybe something to do with jazz. I think one of the places it went was Louisville, Kentucky, and then Paducah, whatever. Anyway, it was kind of fun to see that. And day 2, I left Paducah, headed up to basically across the Ohio River into Illinois, and then all the way up Illinois past Champaign.
Illinois is big.
Yep. Yeah. Well, let me tell you, I'm very clever. You think Tim Van Ram is a funny guy? Listen to this.
This is a good one.
I stopped in Champaign, Illinois, at a Portillo's, which is a famous Chicago area, Chicago hot dog, Italian beef kind of place, and lots of other stuff too. But Dr. Steph introduced Captain Nick and I to that back in 2019. And I think that's when that happened. No, she told us to go there, and that on our road trip, when Captain Nick and I were up in the Chicago area, we ate at a Portillo's right before we ended up picking up the Class A diesel pusher that we rented for that year. Anyway, so I thought, I wonder if there's any Portillo's on my route, and sure enough, Champaign, Illinois. So I went in and ordered my Chicago hot dog, and the young lady asked if I wanted anything to drink. And I said, champagne, please. And of course, I just got a very blank stare. Yeah, which is kind of the response I usually get when I try to tell a joke. So I wasn't
think it
surprised.
was hysterical, Jeff. Hysterical.
But I'm thinking, come on, Champagne? We're in Champagne? Oh, well, pretty bad. Sorry. Anyway, so I crossed over the Illinois-Wisconsin border between Rockford, Illinois, and Janesville, Wisconsin, and then kind of headed a little bit more to the northeast. And
Captain Rick hang out in Rockford sometimes?
I think Captain Rick does fly out of Rockford quite a bit, actually. But he wasn't there when I went through, or at least he claimed he wasn't.
Right,
he didn't want to see
hiding.
me. Yeah. Anyway, went to Whitewater, Wisconsin, and the reason, because I found this little cute bed and breakfast establishment, and I thought, that's sort of like on the way to Oshkosh, and it'd be kind of nice to spend the night in luxury before I started my tent adventure. And so I stopped there at the Hamilton House in Whitewater, and the wonderful innkeeper, her name is Gloria, from upstate New York, had just purchased the thing right before the pandemic. Yeah, she didn't have very good timing. And anyway, so I think that the accommodations are starting to pick up.
But you were the only one there that night.
I was the only one there. And so she gave me the grand tour of the place, and the staircase going up to the second floor where my room was, she said, "This is a famous staircase." And I said, "Why is that?" She goes, "Well, you'll remember a very famous actor-comedian named John Belushi." And I went, "I do recall that name." And she said that when he was a student at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, which is like right next door, I mean, it's like right there in Whitewater, this house was at various times a
sorority house? And then
a sorority house and a fraternity house, a frat house. And when it was a frat house, apparently John Belushi rode his motorcycle up the stairs in this place, and
Wonder if
she was showing me.
alcohol was involved.
What's that?
Wonder if alcohol was involved.
Oh no, I'm sure that there was no alcohol involved. I'm wondering if that had. I don't recall exactly if there was a scene quite like that in Animal House, but it just was kind of reminiscent to me of the movie Animal House. But anyway, after he got kicked out of the school, he went back to his parents' place somewhere in northern Illinois, not very far away from that, and he finished his college. And then after that, he got involved in the Second City comedy troupe in the Chicago area, a very famous comedy troupe, and then of course got noticed by Lorne Michaels?
Yep. Canadian.
Is it really? Is he really? There are a lot of funny Canadians.
Yeah. They're all funny.
Yeah, you're all funny looking. And then he got hired by. He was one of the original cast of Saturday Night Live, way back in the 70s, I think. I forgot exactly what year. Sorry for the wind noise. Anyway, so that was fun. Spent the night there, and then the next. Oh, by the way, the breakfast the next day, because it's a bed and breakfast. The breakfast the next morning was amazing. The presentation of the food and the flavor of the food was just incredible, and
Coffee was great.
Oh, and the coffee was really good too. And I said, "Excuse me," I said, "You wouldn't happen to be like a trained chef, would you?" And she says, "I went to the Culinary Institute in Hyde Park, New York." And I went, "Oh, okay." Yeah, so I guess she has many, many years of experience as a chef for various places in New York. So I said, "Well, it shows. This is really, really good." And so that was my experience at the Hamilton House in Whitewater, Wisconsin. And then the next morning after breakfast,
Yesterday?
just yesterday, a short drive from there to here, like under 2 hours, and arrived at Oshkosh at Whitman Field, and a nice gentleman, another Canadian. Well, it seems to be a theme here. Yeah. Met me by the front camper registration area and gave me my little tag to display in the windshield of the car. I'm looking at my car way over there, and I see it. It's a big, giant yellow thing. And that gets you in and out of the campground. And what's that?
The car isn't a giant yellow thing. It's the tag that's a giant yellow.
Yeah, the tag. The tag is giant yellow thing. The car is a giant white thing. Well, not that giant. And showed me where Camp Bacon, a subdivision of Camp Scholler, and where I could put the tent. I had a few different places I could choose from, and I chose a place underneath a beautiful tree. I'm not sure what kind of tree it is, but that may not be a good idea now that I'm thinking about it, because we're supposed to be getting some stormy weather.
There.
What's that?
Lightning storm. Don't be there.
Yeah. Probably not a good place to be in a lightning storm. Anyway, that's where the tent is. And I'll try to remember to throw a photo in of the car and the tent erected at Camp Scholler. And so got settled in. This is all a new experience for me, camping. Last time I was at Oshkosh, we had that luxury motorhome. And I'm hoping in subsequent visits I'll have like a version of a luxury motorhome as well. But this time it's going to be roughing it a little bit in a tent. And one thing I noticed, Liz, is that you hear that the walls of a tent aren't very thick, and they're not really good at like diffusing sound. And for those of you who have been to Whitman Field and Oshkosh, you know that it's very close to, I think, is it Interstate 41?
Right.
A lot of traffic on that road, and I think it's just something I'm going to have to get used to. But it was it kept waking me up.
Like you hear a lot of trucks going by.
Yeah, a lot of trucks, a lot of motorcycles, a lot of people that apparently can't afford to install mufflers.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway, so my first night was last night, and
Get some earplugs.
I'm sorry?
You could get some earplugs.
Yeah, I guess I could. Yeah, probably have some in my backpack. Yeah, I'll give that a shot. See how that works. For some reason, when you keep talking, it's like kind of fuzzy. It's not clear until you've said a few words. I don't know why that is, Liz, but that's why I keep saying, "Huh? What are you saying?" Okay, so that's where we are. We're well, actually, I'm not at Whitman Field, but I am still in the Oshkosh, general Oshkosh area at Menominee Park. There's a nice little, what do you call that? Like a place that has like a placard, not a statue, but like a historic marker or something like that, for Chief Oshkosh. So I guess that's how this town got its name, an Indian chief, or a Native American chief, more correctly, named Chief Oshkosh. I actually haven't read the historical marker yet, but I intend to do that after I record however much of the show I'm going to be recording today. There you go. And then tomorrow, more and more of APG community members are going to be showing up, and I'll be able to see them and hang out, walk around, and have fun, and eat and drink and be merry. And
Jeff,
not.
you forgot to tell everybody what you were busy doing before you left Roswell. You were making something, weren't you?
Was I making something?
Making some T-shirts, maybe?
Oh, okay. I'm thinking, what is she talking about? What was I making? Yeah, I printed up a bunch of Oshkosh shirts. Are you showing them now? I'm guessing. Now that one you're seeing on the screen is actually one printed by Teespring that you can order by going to airlinepilotguy.com/store. I believe that's the URL. And then you can click on that top banner, and that takes you to the Spring. They're calling themselves Spring now, not Teespring, but it's Teespring. And that is the version that they are printing. But if you happen to be attending Oshkosh this year, I printed up several in various sizes, both men's and women's versions. And if you see me, say, "Hey, Jeff, where's my shirt?" And then hopefully, I guess I'm going to just keep them in the tent, or maybe in the trunk of my car. What's that?
Well, supplies last.
While supplies last, yes. But yeah, you'll have to find me, and then you'll probably have to go to my campsite to retrieve or to get your version printed by me, heat transfer printed in the basement of my house. And
Bring a Sharpie?
I did not. I just thought of that. I just remembered that I have not. I just remembered I forgot
Okay.
to bring a Sharpie. Guess I'm going to have to go back to Target again. I texted the APG crew this morning and said, "Well, something I didn't even think of until I got here. I was going to go and have a shower this morning, and at the bathhouse or shower house or whatever you want to call it, and I'm thinking, I should probably have a towel. I am so used to everywhere I take a shower having a towel supplied, either at home or on the road in a hotel room.
Extra towels for Hillel.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't buy an extra towel for Hillel. I hope he's smart enough to bring one with him, I'm sure. So I did not. So I had to go back to Target to get a towel and some other things that I'd forgotten. But anyway.
Before you move on, I'm going to show the sticker that's also available.
Yeah. Jim Mercado, our APG brand ambassador, put that on Spring as well. It's a sticker. It's like about 5 or 6 inches wide. And you can buy one of those and plop it on your rollerboard, on your airplane or your car or something. I don't know. Anyway, put it on some property, somebody's property that you don't like. Anyway, yeah. Thanks, Liz. All right. So that you're basically up to speed. Oh, I do plan on, and I'm not sure when this show will be published because I'm going to be kind of busy in the next few days, but I'm going to try to, work out a quick edit on this and get it out there. But if you're watching live or you're watching the video, because usually I'll release make the video public a little bit earlier than the audio only version. We are planning on recording a live show once AirVenture has started, and you'll just have to follow us on the social medias to find out when and where. And it's not going to be a normal show format. We're not going to do news and feedback. We're just going to do basically hang out and talk about audience participation for sure. So stay tuned for time and place by following us on the social media. So plan on doing that next week.
So Tim Van Ram is not just funny, he's practical. So he's got a suggestion for you, Jeff.
Oh, does he? Okay, let me see what he's suggesting. Install a white noise app on the iPhone. Works great for camping. Actually, I think I already have one on there, Tim. So, yeah, I can just plug in my headphones or earbuds or something like that, and it'll, because I've had to do that before staying in hotels, just to try to drown out some of the noise.
In the next room?
Yeah, or in the hallway or whatever, kids running up and down the halls and that kind of thing. Well, here's the wind again. Here, let me point that away. Let me see. That might help. Let me move this camera over here. Oh, that's no good.
You're out of shot. There we go.
Okay. Now, I'm hoping that the placement of the microphone will be a little bit better as far as wind is concerned. Okay.
Last week's cover art?
Yeah, let's look at that. Captain Nick has done it again. Captain Jeff tweets away is the title of the show. And there I am on the Twitter
Logo.
bird. What is the name of the Twitter bird? Tweet?
I don't know. Tweety
I
bird?
don't know.
I don't know.
Tweet it? I don't know. Does anybody know? Anyhow, I am on the Twitter bird, and of course that's the tweet is kind of a reference to. It didn't help, did it? The wind is still kind of noisy. The tweet is a reference to the fact that I, long before Twitter was a thing, and before smartphones were a thing, I went, ow, damn.
What was that?
Something just bit me.
Oh, okay.
It's a biting fly. I love it.
Nice.
I do not love it.
No.
Hey! Damn you. This is no good. This is no good. What am I? Larry the Bird? Oh,
Yeah,
that is
exactly.
not. That's not Larry the Bird. I take it back. He's not that funny. Anyway, there's me on top of the Twitter bird. And, in reference to the fact that, I'm sorry, before I was rudely bitten by a fly, in reference to the fact that I was an instructor pilot on the Tweet T-37 in the U.S. Air Force back in the early to mid-'80s. Actually, mid to late 80s is when I was doing that at Columbus Air Force Base. Now all I can think about is that stupid fly trying to bite me. Dang it.
Carry
I don't
on.
like this. I don't like this outdoor venue thing. Probably the last time I do this. Okay. Unless it's a place where they don't have stupid biting flies. Okay. Here we go. What else? Oh, we can do the coffee fun. How about? Okay. Before this whole thing completely falls apart. And here we go.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
I love coffee, I love tea, I love the APG community. Coffee and tea, and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup.
Oh yeah, it's the coffee fun. That's a Java Jive from Jeff Smith, the guy that does the jingles for the APG show. And the reason why he's singing the Java Jive, the APG Java Jive, is because we're going to talk about the Coffee Fund, which is your way to support the show financially. A couple of different ways to do that, and we get to talk about both this episode. Since the last episode, we had a couple one-time contributors to the Coffee Fund Classic, Richard Adams and Chris Eidsvik. Very nice, generous donations, these gentlemen. Thank you very much for that. We do appreciate it. And we also have recurring contributions coming in from people that like using the Coffee Fund Classic method. The other way to participate in the Coffee Fund cadre is to join us and become a patron via Patreon. And we have, yay, a new producer, Curran, I think.
Curran, yeah, one name. Like
yeah, well, he had he has a last name in his email. I could guess what it is, but he just put down Curran, so I don't think he wants me to use his last name. So there you go. I'm respecting that. Damn fly, biting my legs. Sorry. So thank you very much for contributing to the show and becoming a patron, Curran. And if you want to do the same, head over to airlinepilotguide.com/coffee to find out how you can do it as well. You'll be glad you did. We will too. I need somebody over here with a fly swatter, swatting flies away
one
from
right
me.
here.
Okay, well here, hand it to me.
Here it comes. Coming right to the
All right, thank you.
Okay.
That was another thing I need to buy from Target, I think. Oh yes, the great outdoors. Thank you, John. Okay.
How's your battery?
It is 37%. I guess we can keep going. Hey, you know what? Let's just do that, and we'll just make it kind of a short show. We'll just go as long as we can. All right. Here we go. Let's do some feedback.
Captain, incoming message.
Or as long as I can stand being bitten by this fly, or /flies. Okay, let's start with this. It's an update from Jan Sears. He sent us some audio. He said, hope this finds you all well. Here's a little feedback to let you know how training is going. Still enjoying myself and looking forward to what is coming up next. Thank you all for all you do. Warm regards from Jan the Man. And here we go.
Good day, APG members, Captain Jeff, Captain Nick, Steph, Nick, and Rick, and all the other fine people that take care of this, especially Liz, because I know she does the hardest work than any of y'all. Anyway, Jan the Man here with a update on my continued airline pilot training. Just wanted to keep you guys informed to let you know how it's going. We're about 2.5 months into this process, so wanted to keep you all apprised. For those of you who are old like me and thinking about this career path, and give you some inside info, and like I said, you guys are all welcome to reach out to me, and provided my email in the last one, so I'll let you know what's happened since. So about 3 weeks ago I finished systems validation, which is essentially covering all 17 systems of the aircraft. And you have to know them well enough to take an exam that you can pass with better than an 80. And then it's corrected to 100. So ultimately you have to really know what you're doing. Obviously, since we are flying a very complicated aircraft, it's good to know that stuff. But I can speak from my 54 years on the planet that was probably the toughest 2 weeks that I've had learning anything. That being paramedic stuff and going to a police academy and those kind of things that I've done in the past. This was definitely one of the more stressful. So preparation for that is just in the books, making flashcards, and really having a good working knowledge of how those systems function, and when you flick a switch, what are you actually doing? So that's the level they want you to be at, which I think is perfectly acceptable and definitely attainable, because there's thousands of guys and gals out there doing it. But just to let you know, it's a bit of work, and you have to be willing to put in the time. So I passed that validation with a 90, and I was happy with that. Got sent home for 3 weeks, and that time there was spent doing the honey-do list and getting ready for procedures training, which is where I am now. But while I was home, you get sucked into doing things that need to get done, and you got to make time to study, and you got to really kind of meter that. It's difficult, especially if you got children or if you've got a spouse that's got things for you to do. Got to make it a priority, and so I managed to do that fairly well, so that I'm prepared for procedures training here in Denver. So that's where I am now, in the fine outpost of La Quinta near the Denver airport. And a couple things that I've been working on. So I've already had procedures training. You've got 4 procedure training, and then you're given what's called the procedures validation, which is essentially a check ride that validates you from the gate to the runway, and then from the runway to the gate at the end of a flight, all of your checklists and flows and communication between you and the captain and those things. So it's a bit of a choreography piece, and it's definitely been challenging. I am one of the few people here that doesn't have a sim partner. Normally you're kind of partnered up with somebody out of your SV class, a systems class, but my partner did not return, so I'm doing it solo, which is okay, because I get a training captain next to me as my partner. The instructor becomes my partner, so that's a lot of learning there, and a lot of potential benefits. So far so good. PT2 is tonight. I have the 8 p.m. to 2 in the morning slot, which works for me because I'm kind of a swing shift kind of guy. So that works pretty well. In the interim, when I'm not in the procedures trainer or having a debrief or a brief with an instructor, I'm spending time in what's called the Matrix Lab, and that's essentially a mock-up of the cockpit, large LCD screens that are touchscreen that act and behave closely to the actual aircraft, with the technological block of sometimes when you push a button it doesn't actually push, and you flick a switch and it doesn't actually flick. But learning the flows and the procedures that go along with that, and learning how to load the box. We call it an MCDU here. Some people call it an FMU, FMC. It's got a couple different names, but it's the main navigation aid radio box, and also does all of our fuel and flight planning. So very important piece of equipment to understand how to operate, and that's what I've spent most of my time here working through that. So those of you who spend a lot of time on flight sim at home, pick the flight sim of the aircraft that you're actually going to go potentially fly someday, and I would suspect that they're fairly closely related, and you might have a little bit of a heads up. The downside is you might do some mistraining on yourself. So it's I kind of came in here cold to this airline and let them teach me from the ground up, because I learned a long time ago that the phrase "trust the process" is a good way to live. So when I'm not in the Matrix or in a PT session, I have a paper tiger, which is essentially a cockpit poster that I have in the room, and I practice the flows and checklists that way. It works. It's similar. It's not as interactive, obviously, and but it gets the job done. So a few things I've experienced while I've been here. They put us up in a hotel, which is nice, paid for by the airline, and I'm being paid while I'm in training. So it's kind of like I'm at work, so here I am in a hotel room. So I'm getting to understand hotel life a little bit, which I'm sure Captain Jeff and Captain Nick can relate to 110%. I've already switched rooms because the hot water didn't work in the first room, and little things like that become kind of funny, and you become when you get a certain brand, you're like, yeah, I think I'll stick with that brand of hotel and not this one after some experiences. But that part's been interesting, trying to figure out food. The hotel refrigerators are very small, and I'm on a budget, so what I've done is I've gone to Walmart and bought frozen foods like from Amy's or one of these other, more of a natural frozen food part, and then applesauce squeezies and nuts and bars and cereal and oat milk, and I make my own coffee in the room here with a device called an AeroPress. And if you've never used one, it makes a French press look archaic. AeroPress is really light, and I'm not advertising for them, but I can tell you the product is really good. Aside from that, I've been managing to get exercise every day. I go for anywhere from a 5 to 10 mile run because I need to have my head clear, and that's how I do that. And I've made some really good friends here, some close friends that I'm sure will be friends for life, which is super cool and kind of unexpected. But we started off as a group, almost 2 months ago, and we sort of splintered off as we've gone into procedures training. But it's been really neat to get to know some people from all over the country. Some from out of the country that are here on visas and working, and it's really cool. So happy to have that experience, and those are people that I get to have in my life for the rest of my life. So I will tell you, it's on a home life standpoint, make sure you've got all your stuff buttoned up at home. This is stressful to be away. If you've got younger children, and there are some students here who are friends of mine that have younger children, it's a challenge. You just have to make sure you've got, family support and backing and that kind of thing. I'm fortunate in that my children are all grown and out of the house, so this is me being retired, kind of doing something not only fun, but is very challenging at the same time. So, like they say, it's a lifestyle, not a job, working for the airlines, and I'm getting a taste of that by being away and the airline experience and that kind of thing. So you have to understand what you're getting into a little bit beforehand, before either investing a lot of money or a lot of time in it. But I'm really stoked, and I can definitely say that I'm in the right place and I made the right choice, and I have no regrets so far. So what's next for me? So I finish. If everything goes well, I finish my procedures validation next week. And then I got graced with the opportunity to go to Paris, France to do my simulator training over there at La Bourget Airport, where Flight Safety International has more sims. We're running out of sims in this country for the particular aircraft that I'm flying. The ERJ sims are just all booked up. So they've reached out and made some contracts with some international partners, and I got selected to go to Paris. So that's what I'll be doing on, hopefully this time next week I will be in Paris. Once I get over there, I do maneuvers training, and that's where you're in a full motion simulator and actually getting to fly the aircraft and doing approaches and holds and loading things in the box, and then figuring out how the navigation system works really effectively, and then doing upset training, unusual attitudes, and the recoveries for those. And so I'm really excited to do that part of it. After we finish that, I come back to Denver. I do my knowledge validation, which is essentially like an oral for your check ride, and that's just to make sure that the systems knowledge that you had 2 months ago prior, you actually retained. And so they'll go through that and ask questions about systems and operations particular to the airline. And then after that, I do my LOE check ride and hope to be type rated in the ERJ, so ERJ 175. So that's how it's going. I will tell you that preparation is everything. I'm learning that, prior to going to each one of these simulator sessions, I sit down with the iPad that they provided, with the syllabus they provided that has everything that's going to be occurring, and I write it all out and I go through it so that when I get to the sim, I'm fully prepared and can really soak up the information. So preparation is everything, and hopefully the next time I speak to you guys, I will be an ATP type rated airline pilot waiting for my IOE. So this is Jan the Man signing off from Denver, Colorado. Hope all of you are well, and please, if you have any comments, just relay them to Liz, and she'll give them to me. So thanks very much for listening. Sorry for the lengthy response. Take care, y'all.
Yeah, she'll give it to you all right. Trust me. I know.
Both barrel.
Yeah. Thank you, Jan. And as, let's see, who was it that said it's nice to get these updates here? John McElry. Great to have updates like this. Thank you, Jan, for letting us know that you're going to be in Ooh La La, Gay Paris. Very nice. And the other thing I want to say is, yeah, AeroPress. That's what I have up here, and that's what I normally use to make my day-to-day morning coffee. AeroPress, AeroPress.
The official coffee maker of Airline Pilot Guy.
The official coffee maker of the Airline Pilot Guy is AeroPress, and I hope that you have a good grinder to go along with that. You know, whole beans, a good grinder. I brought my manual grinder with me, which is a Commandante, German-made, really, really nice manual grinder, and it makes really good coffee. So really nice to hear about how your training is going, and I think it's very helpful for the community, especially those who are considering doing what you are doing right now, and what to expect and that sort of thing. So very informative. Thank you, Jan.
Jim
What
has a question.
does AeroPress work on grapes? Well, I guess it could work, but it doesn't have the same effect that a regular wine press has. It kind of, I would say, maybe macerates the grapes, probably. I don't know. I haven't tried it myself. Thank you for the question, though, Tim. All right. Let's see. What else do we want to say? Anything? No? Again, thank you, Jan. Good to hear from you. And, while I missed... I've listened to his feedback before, so I didn't really miss it. But while Jan was, we were doing the play out of his audio, I went to my car and got this Cutter Backwoods insect repellent. And I was telling Liz, it talks about mosquito repellent and that kind of thing. But then I looked at the fine print. It says repels mosquitoes, ticks, biting flies, gnats, no-see-ums, chiggers, and fleas. So, good. I've been scratching the back of my head with fleas. Anyway, so hopefully that will repel the biting flies. I knew you'd want to know.
Yeah. Inquiring minds want to know.
Yes, inquiring minds. Okay, let's see what the next piece of feedback. We're at 32% on the battery. We're still good. A little bit of... What's that?
Short audio.
Okay. Here, let's play this short audio from Ray.
Hi, crew. This is Ray from Outdoor, Florida. I wanted your comments on the change in the ruling for 5G towers around airports. Apparently, they're going to be able to turn them on. Have they solved the problem of interference with the radios in airplanes? Thank you.
No, it's just that there are so many other news items out there, and that we as humans are easily bored and easily distracted, so we won't even think about it anymore until the airplanes start crashing. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, they have done some... Well, he sent us a link to a clip from usatoday.com.
I think I just found that link.
Oh, you found that? Okay. Okay. So it says the FAA and major wireless companies have identified steps to safely deploy 5G around some airports. The announcement signals a path forward after AT&T and Verizon delayed their rollouts earlier this year amid concerns about interference with devices measuring aircraft altitude. And it's not just regular altimeters, it's radio altimeters, the ones that we use in conjunction with enhanced ground proximity warning systems and our low visibility instrument landing system approaches. Category 2, Category 3 approaches in general use the radio altimeter, or radar altimeter is another term for that device. Not as you would have, or the mainstream media would have you believe, all altimeters, because they're basically using air pressure to give you the readings. I know there's some electronics and computers involved with that as well. Ooh, I got all kinds of cutter insect repellent all over my hands now because I've sprayed it all over my legs. Anyway, has nothing to do with 5G. Sorry. The Federal Aviation Administration, no, I just read that. As part of the phased approach, regional aircraft operators with radio altimeters most vulnerable to interference must retrofit them with radio frequency filters by the end of the year, the agency said in an announcement. Airlines and other aircraft operators with altimeters that are effective must add filters or other upgrades as soon as they can. We believe we have identified, this is who talking, FAA Administrator Billy Nolan. We believe we have identified a path that will continue to enable aviation and 5G C-band wireless to safely coexist. We appreciate the willingness of Verizon and AT&T to continue this important and productive collaboration with the aviation industry. By the way, this week's episode is brought to you by AT&T. This little hotspot I have going on out here in the middle of the park. Okay, the FAA worked with the companies to determine airports near which they can boost service with the smallest chance of disruption to scheduled flights. AT&T and Verizon previously said they would keep mitigations in place until July, but now have offered to continue with some level of voluntary mitigations for another year. Okay. Anyway, yeah, they are doing things. Honestly, I haven't heard nor seen anything in recent weeks that address the whole 5G thing going on, and apparently with my fleet it's not really a deal at all. So that's all I can say really about it for now. Anything to add, Liz?
Nope.
Okay. Well, then that means we can move on to this feedback from future pilot Mike from Philly. It's a second set of questions. Okay. Well, I'm catching up quickly. I'm on episode 440 now, and at this rate, I hope to be all caught up in about 2 to 3 months. By the way, you all sound great when played back at 2x speed.
Like the chipmunks.
Okay. So what he's saying is we talk too slow. All right, question 1. I believe it was episode 433. You were talking about, I remember it well. We were talking about the movie 7500 and the accuracy of the pilot's actions by the actors. On a related note, I'm curious, when you watch Airplane, are there any scenes or actions that are inside jokes to pilots? Or any scenes that are very funny because it mocks existing procedures that only pilots or flight attendants might pick up? No, I don't really think so. I don't think that's really a thing with the movie Airplane. I think the Airplane was more of a, what was it called? 0 Hour, the movie that on which it was originally mocking, right? Yeah. So I don't believe, I could be wrong. Just ask anybody that knows me. That that it had anything to do with like behind the thing scenes kind of stuff that only pilots and flight attendants know about going on. I maybe that's happening, but I don't think so.
No.
Yeah. Question 2. What are the primary differences between a captain and a first officer? Well, captains are smart and good looking.
Salary.
And salary, that's a big difference, yeah. And first officer. Okay, it sounds like the roles are fairly defined, and yet the captain has discretion on what he can delegate to the FO as well, such as who takes off and lands. Yeah, so basically, in history, things were a little bit different, but in the modern age, in the last 20, 30 years or so, with crew resource management and just our job changing and our society changing. The environment at most airlines in the world now is one that everybody is fully qualified to fly an airplane. I mean, we take turns in general, flying different flights on a trip. And in fact, there are many times that the first officers might actually be better pilots than the captains. I know that I was when I was a first officer. Better than the captains. Well, of course, so I thought I was. So, and when we alternate different flight segments, the roles that we take on in that way of thinking of roles, as far as pilot flying and pilot monitoring, are, those are clearly defined roles. So if it's, in general, if I fly a trip, especially if it's with somebody I've not flown with before or it's been a while, I'll start the first leg. If it's one of those things, the kind of flying that I do on the Boeing 717 are short to medium routes, and a lot of times it has us going in and out of our big hub city, Atlanta. And so, like the first day may be, Atlanta, Little Rock, Atlanta, then to Louisville, Kentucky. What I like to do, because back in the day, we just alternated and so what happened basically at that point was that if you were the first officer going second, you were pretty much flying from wherever airport it is to Atlanta, and you didn't get the experience of flying to an airport like Little Rock or maybe a smaller airport where you can use different visual procedures and that kind of thing. You were always flying to a very highly controlled, structured, big airport environment. And so based on that, what I like to do, and it's just the way I like to do it anyway, is to do them in pairs. So if we have 3 legs, Atlanta to Little Rock to Atlanta to Louisville, I'll say, hey, I'm going to take the first pair. I'll be the Little Rock guy, and then you can be the Louisville, Kentucky guy. And then in general, the kind of flying that we do, the kind of trips that we fly on the Boeing 717 in Atlanta are structured like that. Not always. Sometimes you'll leave Atlanta and then 4 days later you're coming back to Atlanta. So that's a little bit less common, but it does happen. So when, where was I going with this? When it's my leg, I'm assuming the pilot flying role, and the first officer would be assuming and utilizing all the procedures involved with pilot monitoring, which you would think would be nice and easy, but actually pilot monitoring is almost more difficult than pilot flying, honestly. But as far as, and that's just pilot monitoring, pilot flying roles. If we're talking dinner roles, I really like those. I can't think of the name. Role? Parker House. That's the one I was trying to think of. But as far as roles associated with our job description as a captain or first officer or co-pilot, whatever you want to call it, basically, as I said before, we're both fully qualified to fly the airplane, to do all the duties associated with pilot monitoring, pilot flying. The difference is, as Liz mentioned at the beginning, is that the captains generally get, well, I think always, get paid more than the first officer. Not a huge amount more. I'd say the first officer in general makes about 2/3 of the hourly rate. That's the way we do it in the U.S. We fly by we're hourly employees, and we make a certain hourly rate, and that's how we're paid. Now, airlines in different parts of the world, and maybe even some here in the U.S., but do it differently. They might be a salary-based kind of thing, or have like an offset based on the number of hours you're flying and that kind of thing. But yeah, so in general, the captain's rate, let's just use a round number, is $200 an hour. Then the first officer's rate would be about 2/3 of that. I shouldn't have used that example because now I have to do the math. That'd be like about 130-ish per hour, So, and again, it depends on how many years of longevity you have with the company. If you're in your first year and you're a first officer on a piece of equipment, you're not going to be making 2/3 of what the captain is making, who has been with the company for at least 12 years. Anyway, I don't want to go into the weeds on this one. Yeah.
You clarified for me recently, because remember we had that discussion around you were short of a first officer or whatever, and I asked, why couldn't a captain just step in? And you clarified for me, even though you're qualified, it's quite a different role. Like that you can't just step into it, right?
Right. And in the case of, obviously, if there's not enough captains available, you just can't make one of the first officers a captain. Right. I mean, you have to go through a type rating, and there's a lot more regulatory red tape and stuff that you got to go through and training and everything else. But the main reason, I think, is that if let's say there aren't enough first officers and they thought, well, hey, we got all these captains hanging around not doing anything. Let's go ahead and put a captain as first officer on this trip. Well, the problem is that when you're sitting in the airplane in the right seat as a first officer, you are doing a lot of things that are different. I guess, yeah, thank you for mentioning that, Liz, because what I didn't mention when I was talking about the roles of pilot monitoring and pilot flying is that when you're on the ground, when you're preparing a flight, you're taxiing out, you're running checklists on the ground, radio procedures and that kind of thing, transmissions. There are defined, whether it's your leg or not, you are going to be doing a certain thing as first officer and as captain. Same thing after once you're in the air, pretty much you can go, do either role from either seat, pilot monitoring, pilot flying. But on the ground, when you land, at a certain point, I'll take control of the airplane, because in the airplane that I fly, the only way to steer the airplane is from not the only way, but the way we normally steer the airplane, taxi the airplane on the ground, is from the left seat. So, and then there are procedures, flows that the first officer is going through after we have landed and we're pulling off and taxiing into the gate area. So those are clearly defined roles. And so I can't just go and fly a trip and be a first officer, because I'd be sitting over there going, okay, I think I know how to do this. I mean, you have to have special training to do it. And we have the line check airmen, and I know they call them different things at different airlines around the world, but a training captain or a line check airman is checked out. He's trained and qualified to fly from either seat. So when I check out on an airplane and I'm flying with a line check airman on my initial operating experience, IOE, the pilot that's sitting in the right seat, he or she is a captain, but they are playing the role, not playing, but they are performing the role as first officer, because they have been trained to do it. So it's just the reason why the airlines don't do that. It would be nice to have all that flexibility to get us all trained like line check airmen. The downside is that it's very expensive to maintain that dual qualification, both left seat and right seat. I hope I didn't muddy the waters with that. Okay. Okay, does a first officer only get 2/3 of the bug spray? Yeah, well, no, he doesn't get any.
No.
Where is that first officer? We don't even can't trust those first officers.
What you need is a first officer helping you camp there.
I do. I need somebody to manage all this stuff for me, make the coffee for me in the morning. Okay, we're at 27. Okay, we're still okay. Let's go over here. Did I get?
Yeah, that was good.
That okay. Thank you, Mike from Philly. Good luck in catching up. This is something where, I really don't need to load this video. It's just B-roll, basically. Robert Tucker, formerly of near the Big Green Chicken in Marietta, who is now in Tucker, Georgia. I don't recall the crew discussing this event, but was scrolling through channels today and it caught my eye. Any friends that compete in these events by chance? And he's referring to the National Championship Air Races or most commonly referred to as the Reno Air Races. Mm-hmm. And we do know somebody in the podcasting world. He's one of the co-hosts of the Plane Talking UK. By the way, I think I'm going to be one of their hosts tomorrow on their recording for this week. But the Plane Talking UK, PTUK podcast, Armando Carrion, I don't think he's not flying as a pilot and competing in the races, but he is very heavily involved during the Reno Air Races every year. This year, I believe it's September 14th through 17th, 2022. But there might be some people that are listening, subscribe to the show, part of our community, that race in the Reno Air Races? I'm just not aware of who they are. If you are, let us know. That'd be kind of cool.
Make yourself known.
Make yourself known.
Before you move on here, we've
Yeah.
got Mike in the chat room, and he's upgrading from first officer to captain next month.
Oh, very good. Mike Salka?
Yeah.
Upgrading next month. Very good, very good. Yeah, it's exciting. It's probably a little intimidating at first because you have flown as a first officer. Now, it depends on your particular situation. You might be at an airline where, you're only a first officer for a very short period of time before you're already upgrading to captain. Or you might be at a major legacy carrier, and it might be 10, 12 years. I think it was about 12 years for me when I upgraded to captain. But regardless, over time, you fly with captains, and you kind of start thinking to yourself, if this guy or gal can be a captain at this company, certainly I could, because this guy's an idiot. No, I'm just kidding. But you might be thinking that.
Don't name any names.
Not naming names at all. But fortunately, I think the experience would probably be the same with most people that I know. That kind of a situation is few and far between. Most of the captains that you fly with, especially at Acme, are very sharp and capable people. But it's a little intimidating because, when you're not captain, you're doing your job, you're the best job you can to perform the flight safely, comfortably, good PR with the passengers and that type of thing. But, when it comes down to it, if something goes wrong, and this is really not as much the case as it used to be. Back in the old days, if something went wrong, oh well, it's just the captain that's going to have to answer for it. These days, a little bit different with the crew resource management and the fact that everybody is almost like on an equal footing as far as contributions to the operation and safety of the flight. Just because you're the first officer, if something goes wrong, they're not going to let you off the hook. Oh, you're just the first officer. We're not going to, say anything or ask you any questions about anything or potentially punish you. You're going to be in there as well. So it's very important that you think like you're in the role of the captain, even when you're not a captain.
Mike's just offering some insight into the timing at his...
Okay, at 4 years at my Chicago-based legacy carrier. Oh, wow. But we have guys picking it up at a year after probation. Yeah, well, I think a lot of people know the real legacy airline that I fly for. I think we made history with some guy that bid captain on the Mad Dog in New York City, and I think it was not even... No, he had not been with the company for even a year, still on probation, and got a captain slot. And that was something that nobody ever envisioned, either at the company or at the union. And they quickly kind of made some new procedures and requirements to ensure that this person, was going to be up to the task of being a captain for a major legacy airline. But honestly, a lot of the people that fly as first officers for us, before they were hired, it's not like you just get hired by a United or a Delta or a American Airlines with very little experience. No, you have to have a few hours under your belt, and most of the time it's either military experience or regional airline experience. And many of the people that Acme hires were captains at regional carriers, so it's not like their first rodeo. They know what it means, what it requires to be a captain, so they're not going into it blindly. So I guess there's that aspect of it as well. But for many of us old dogs, when somebody comes in, are just hired, they're still on probation, and they're getting a captain slot, we're just like, what? That's crazy. And honestly, I don't think I would do it because, when you're on probation, your protections as far as job security are not very, not a lot. And
Robust.
So you have to be, you're kind of hanging the you're hanging it out there. Let's just say, and good luck to you. But at 4 years, obviously, you're not on probation anymore, Mike, and that's awesome. Yeah, good luck. Let us know. Send us some feedback. Let us know how that goes. And I'm sure you'll
you
do
have
great.
sunscreen on this afternoon? You're getting a little pink there.
Am I?
A little bit.
I didn't put any on my face, but
Just wondering.
oh well. Am I starting to look like a lobster?
Oh, just a little pink, that's all.
Yeah. I should be. That should be something that was part of my routine for a long time, and it hasn't been, and that might end up biting me in the. You know what? Anyway.
So we just passed the hour and a half mark, Jeff. Just so you know.
Okay. Oh, really? Wow. Okay. Good. Well, it's definitely going to be a shorter show because we're at 24% now, and the fact that basically I'm the only host. I mean, I consider Liz to be a host as well, but she's more acting as the producer director on the show as she normally does, and because of that, there aren't a lot of people that chime in and give their perspectives and opinions about these various things, and so this thing's going pretty darn quickly, isn't it? Okay, let's continue to move on with number 7. Magnus, how do you use the rudder pedals? YouTube video. Okay, so I just watched this video. We've had this feedback for a while, and I just watched this YouTube video that this gentleman, I forgot what his name is. I think he's a German guy. Sounds like a German accent to me. Here, let me play a little bit of it then, just to kind of give you a little taste of the YouTube video, and then you maybe can help me decide. Let's see, rudder pedals open. Here we go.
Some pilots keep their feet on the rudder pedals when taking off and landing. Other pilots keep the heels on the floor. So which technique is correct?
I don't know.
Hi, my name is Magnar Nordahl. I am an airline captain and instructor. In this video, I will explain how the rudder pedals are used to maintain directional control.
There you go. There's a little taste of
those skills are essential when
the video, and I'm not super 100% accurate when it comes to detecting.
It just sounded Norwegian or something to me, but
Oh.
I don't know.
Could be. But anyway, the video is like a 12-minute video, something like that. It's kind of a long video. And I watched most of it, not all of it, but it's going to be in the show notes for you all to watch as well. I just didn't think it was something that we could really play for the entire show. But basically he talks about what rudder pedals are, what they're connected to, why we use them, etc. And they have many different uses, and modern aircraft, the rudder pedal not only moves the rudder on the tail fin of the airplane, the vertical piece of control surface back on the tail, but it also, when the airplane's on the ground, it's usually connected to the nose wheel steering system. And at the top of the rudder pedals, when you depress the top, you are activating the brakes. We call it toe brakes. And I guess there might be some discussion about the proper use. I mean, do you come in and do you have your heels on the floor and activating the rudder, and then when it's time for you to put the brakes on, you kind of move your feet up so that you can depress the top portion of the rudder pedal to apply braking? Or, and is it different when you're taking off and you're landing? And honestly, when I was watching this video, I'm thinking, I'm not really sure exactly what I'm pretty sure on the takeoff my heels are on the floor, and I'm pretty sure when I'm coming in as for landing that my feet are or the heels are on the floor as well. But now that I'm thinking, you do something. When you breathe, do you do this? And then you don't think about it. You just do it. You're breathing. I don't have to think about taking a breath in and exhaling. I just do it naturally without thinking about it. And that's the kind of way I think of activating the rudders on the airplane. I guess next time I have a trip, I'm going to have to pay attention to what I'm actually doing. But there are different advantages and disadvantages to the various positions of your feet on the rudder pedals, and it may, differ based on the kind of airplane that you're flying as well. And of course, rudder is used for directional control. If you're a pilot of a smaller airplane, you're actively using the rudders to get coordinated turns, not slipping or sliding. And that has nothing to do with the slip and slide, the water toy. But on modern airliners, the input of rudder for making coordinated turns is really taken care of for you by the yaw damper system. It just automatically applies rudder appropriate for, you put a bank in with the side stick controller or the control yoke, and the yaw damper system automatically applies a little bit of rudder without even you knowing, basically, and it just coordinates the turn for you. There are times, though, like crosswind landings comes to mind, when you are actively using the rudders and quite, you're depressing or moving the rudders more aggressively than you normally do, and that's to align the longitudinal axis, the nose to tail axis of the jet with the runway. If that's your technique, and we could go into all kinds of different techniques, landing and crosswinds and that kind of thing. We've talked about that a few times on the show before. Different techniques, some techniques have advocates, and then other techniques have other advocates. So, what else? Anyway, we having any good comments here? Let's see.
Mike was just talking about what he had to adapt to when he came from the Navy.
Oh, okay. Problem of tapping the brakes at high speed. Yeah, P3. Yeah, airplanes. The type of airplane you're flying, the brakes behave differently. They're not all the same, and that's one of those things you got to get used to. Like sometimes you rent a car, and you put the brakes on, and you're expecting it to respond like the car that you're used to driving, and then all of a sudden it's like, your neck goes. You want to break your neck going, the whiplash kind of thing going on because you weren't expecting that kind of response from the brake pedal. Or conversely, you put the brakes on and go, wait a minute, do we have brakes? It's not really responding to my brake application. Same kind of thing with airplanes, although, it doesn't take long for you to adapt to brake pressures and that kind of thing.
Mike has one more comment here.
I learned to use the bottom of my heels and the bottom of the rudder pedal and my toes toward me to avoid the brakes unless needed. I guess everybody has their own techniques. You got to be careful with having your feet completely on the rudder pedals and not on the floor, especially when you're landing, because you might be unknowingly applying brake pressure to the braking system, and you don't want that when you're touching down, because as good as our anti-skid system are, they can't always prevent you from inadvertently, exploding or busting a tire open. So you definitely don't want to have the brakes on when you touch down. Maybe shortly after touching down, sure. But anyway, I wish that I had some of my co-hosts with me. They could kind of expound upon different airplanes and different techniques. I would be interested to hear from Nick Camacho and Stephanie as far as the different kind of way brakes work on different airplanes. But that's all I can tell you about. And I didn't really tell you much about my experience. But it's one of those things where I just don't think about it. I'll have to think about it, and then I'll get back with you and let you know. All right, let's continue with
We've had this one since July 1st, so we need to get to this one.
Oh my, yes, we've had this for a while. Oh yeah. Bruce sent this in. Bruce Tucky. Hello, producer Liz, Captain Jeff, and crew. I thought the attached article would be an interesting news story given this man's career and perhaps even a plain tale. Take care, all. Love the show. P.S. The Dam Pub, which is referenced in this article, is well known in the Georgian Bay area for its amazing selection of whiskeys. Over 1,000 available. Worth a visit if you're ever up here.
Been there.
Well, we're going to have to visit that Dam Pub sometime, or Liz already has.
Yeah.
Worth it?
Yeah, it's great.
Okay.
Good food.
Let's see. This is from the Owen Sound Sun Times. That must be on the Georgian Bay, I'm guessing.
Owen Sound, yeah.
Okay. Pilot Gord Price, 80 years old, punches through the clouds in the skies above Mayford? Meaford, okay. Friday afternoon. During his air show as part of the town's Canada Day celebrations. Wow, he's 80 years old and still flying in air shows. That's cool. It's his last season soaring, somersaulting, and tumbling through the skies in a supercharged Moscow-made 435 horsepower Yak 50. He's 80 years old. It's time to move on, or so he thought, in a promotional video created ahead of his 2020 air show tour. Scrolling words across the screen read, "In 2022, Gordon Price attempts the scariest thing he's ever done, retirement." Though when reached by phone ahead of his first airshow date of that season on Canada Day, he may have pulled the chute on that idea. It's sort of looking like that, but I'd hate to say never, Price said. Oh, so he's not retiring, huh?
He's waffling.
Maybe. Yeah. He's addicted. As long as he can pass the doctor's stress and heart tests and the annual regulatory assessments, he may keep going. He says, I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie, but in a controlled sense. A controlled adrenaline junkie. I have total control over how far I want to push it, he said. After all, the feeling of sending a super-powered flight machine twisting and turning through the air can't be recreated anywhere else. He calls the feeling an unmatched hyperfocus. Flights at competitions are 6 or 7 minutes, and a lot of the time you wouldn't swallow for 6 or 7 minutes. There is that level of concentration. There is a level of concentration that's different, he said. Okay. A summary of his life thus far seems like it's ripped from a Hollywood script. He joined the Royal Canadian Air Force in the 60s, where he learned to fly aerobatics before serving for 2 years as a nuclear strike pilot. From the military... I don't think that's a good idea to strike nuclear things. From the military, he joined Air Canada and flew 36 years. Ooh, good career. In the Viscount, Vanguard, DC-9, L-1011, DC-8, A320, 330, 340, and the Boeing 747-400. Wow. What a repertoire of experience this man has accomplished. While his career shifted to big birds, he never lost his passion for light aircraft, and in 1975 he built a 200 horsepower Steen Skybolt, adding an extra 60 horses in 1977 for good measure. That began a decades-long journey of building, designing, and modifying aerobatic aircraft to fly at air shows and competitions. He founded Ultimate Aircraft Corporation and built a series of aerobatic aircraft, tuning each one to roll faster and move better through the air. He once finished second in a competition where all pilots had to fly identical aircraft, and the judges were unaware of who was flying to even the playing field. Very good. Let's see, in 1990, he and his family changed their lifestyle and moved all over the world. It was then he took what he calls a 20-year sabbatical from the world of aerobatic flying. All right, well, very good. So the article continues, and if you want to read the rest of it, it is going to be in the show notes. And I say, wow, good on you for such a long career of flying airplanes, especially 80 years. I'm not going to be flying aerobatic airplanes at 80. I don't fly them now. That was back when I was in my 20s. That's fine. Okay. Robert.
Another Robert. Different Robert.
Another Robert, not the one from Tucker. Robert Mick. Robert MC.
From
Hi, team. Oh. Yeah, look at that. He's from France. I'm contacting to say thanks for your podcasts. I only discovered you 2 months ago, and I'm now listening to all of your podcasts. Uh-oh. The syndrome again.
I think so.
I guess I'm a rare case. I'm an Australian who is permanently living in France and at 47 years of age have decided to ditch my career, which went well in Australia, but not here in France, and pursue professional... Oh, he's probably one of those gator wranglers.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I guess there's just not really much need.
Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, it's like Crocodile Dundee, but I guess not gators, crocodiles. I guess they just don't have too many of those in France.
No.
So now he's got to change careers. He's going to pursue professional pilot studies full-time, ATPL theory plus CPL, MEP, IFR, MCC, MOUSE. Here in Europe, there are 14 exams for the ATPL, so you give me listening relief from this hard work. Ugh. As I've mentioned many times before, if I wanted to be an airline pilot in Europe, I think that I probably wouldn't be, because that's just sounds like way too much work.
We should get Robert and Jan connected, because Jan's going over to Paris. Maybe they can get together.
Oui. Good idea. Hey, Robert, call or send us an email, and we'll get you and Jan together. That'd be a lot of fun, I bet. Keep up the great episodes. They are informative and entertaining. Best regards, Robert, in the Australian in France. Thank you for your feedback. And, well, it looks like the battery is below 20% now, Liz. Okay. So I'm thinking maybe we should start thinking about
wrapping it up.
Wrapping things up, and maybe one or two quickly, or one more before we...
Let's do number 15.
Okay.
And number 20. Number 15 and number 20.
All right, this number 15, Gary sent us a link.
Well, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Mm-hmm.
I mean number 14, because
14.
It's the Ryanair one.
Oh, you're going off your paper copy, aren't you? Oh, no problem. Yes, this is a good one. It would have been fun to do this with the other crew members, just to kind of see what their experience is with this. But anyway, Michael, artificial turbulence, in quotes, calms Ryanair rowdies. An airplane of the Irish low-cost airline Ryanair. Oh wait, no, that's a caption. Irish low-cost airline Ryanair said it had overtaken Spanish flag carrier Iberia as the largest airline in Spain in terms of the number of passengers carried. And that's still the caption for the photo. Darn it. Ryanair has been hitting more than its share of turbulence recently, but some of it's the artificial kind. The Irish budget carrier does a lot of business delivering countrymen to party islands in Spain and Greece. The party sometimes starts long before the passengers get to the gate, and flight attendants have had a hard time ensuring their charges are safe. That's where, quote, artificial turbulence comes in. Here's another quote from an unnamed pilot. Sometimes if the passengers are being annoying, then the cabin crew ask us to turn the seatbelt signs on as if there's turbulence, just so everyone sits down and the cabin crew can relax. A flight attendant confirmed the white lie is used from time to time. We refer to it as our artificial turbulence, and yes, it happens. The FAA and the flight attendant said, its use depends on the pilot, but it's apparently a common theme. It depends on pilots how often it's done. Some don't like to do it. Some love to do it. I've had flights where I've stopped service altogether because passengers don't have any manners. Now, what I thought it was going to talk about was the fact that, and I have been asked, no, not me personally. There have been people that I've talked to who will remain anonymous, who have shared with me that flight attendants have asked them to turn the seatbelt light on because they want to regain control of the cabin, and just say something about expected turbulence and that kind of stuff. I thought the article was going to talk about the fact that there are certain things that you can do by just like bumping the and I've heard this, I don't know if this is true, by bumping the control yoke or I don't know if it works with the side stick or not, just to kind of simulate some physical turbulence. Not bad, but just something very, very light.
Light chop.
Yeah, light chop. So apparently, and maybe this is something they did like years and years ago, before I was ever hired. But I thought that's what they were going to be talking about here. But yeah, it's from time to time you'll hear from flight attendants asking you to turn the seatbelt light on when you really think that it's not necessary, but you really don't know what's going on. Yeah, make them sit down, please. One of the things I'll ask the lead flight attendant when I'm doing the captain to lead flight attendant briefing before the flight is, and I said, this is what I normally do with the seatbelt usage. I'll wait till we get up to cruise altitude. Is that the way you want me to manage that, or do you want me to turn the seatbelt light off, as soon as I can above 10,000 feet or even before that sometimes, and I'll know whether or not to expect smooth air or not. That's, depends on whether, you don't want to turn the seatbelt light off if the air is not smooth. But, and sometimes flight attendants will ask you or request that you leave it on until you get up to cruise altitude, because that gives them a chance to start their service, to get some of the job done before people see that the seatbelt light's off, and now they just magically have to use the restroom or the lavatory. So this keeps things a little bit more organized for them. So in it's the same sort of vein as this artificial turbulence, I guess. Not really exactly the same thing, but some will say, yeah, it's a short flight, and I'm only going to be walking through first class anyway. So as soon as you think it's smooth enough to turn the seatbelt light off, then go ahead. So anyway, that's just anecdotal information from me. And then what was the other one you said, Liz?
Number 19.
Okay. From Singapore Rich?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to end it with Singapore Rich. He says, hi crew, hope you're all doing well. Enjoying the podcast and all your hard work. I must say, episode 529 was the rudest one so far. I mean in a good way. Oh, good. I think. So many sexual innuendos only saved by Dr. Steph. Captain Nick and his call on the quote, captain that got sucked off, haha, was fantastic. I mean, not in that way, but the whole podcast in general. Yeah, that was an interesting little thing that Nick said last show. He says, now I digress. Today, I flew into Captain Jeff's old stomping ground. So I just wanted to share these current pictures of what Diego Garcia looks like on the 17th of July, 2022. Middle of the Indian Ocean. He's not kidding. Look it up on the map. It's right out in the middle of the Indian Ocean. I mean, we used to go from Singapore, Singapore Rich, or sometimes we'd just go straight from Clark Air Base in the Philippines through the Malaccan Strait, and from the point that you hit the Indian Ocean and the Strait of Malacca, or however you say that, it was 4 hours from there to Diego Garcia. At least in a 141. In a faster airplane, it probably wouldn't take quite that long. Anyway, he says, I took these pictures, and this is what it looks like on the 17th. A little creepy, but somehow breathtaking. I think we would all like to hear more about your experiences here, Captain Jeff. It certainly has some amazing history. I didn't spend a heck of a lot of time there, honestly. And my experiences were basically just flying in and maybe if I had time, to get some beach time and swim in the lagoon, the natural lagoon there, maybe rent a paddleboard or something like that from MWR. I think that's what we called it. It is. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And then meet the rest of the crew over at the Officers Club and have a beer or two and some seafood for dinner. Let's see. The most current rumors are MH370 that went missing on the 8th of March 2014 is hidden in a hangar here. My opinion, total rubbish. I've walked and looked around inside these hangars and still here to tell the tale. Yeah, if they were hiding something, I don't think that he would be sending us in feedback, would he? Security are easily influenced by hamburgers and chocolate milkshakes. Not being disrespectful. Oh, I guess maybe it is easy to get around there. He said, but MH370 is not here. So I'm thinking, folks, maybe Captain Jeff can give Captain Nick a night off and give us a plain tale himself of his time in Diego Garcia. I don't know if there's enough there for a plain tale, but thank you for the suggestion, Singapore Rich. He says, always nothing but blue skies and some tailwinds, not on short runways. We love you, Captain Jeff. Always Singapore Rich, and I'm sure you showed all these beautiful photos of that. Look at that water.
And I love this last one, the footprint of freedom. Diego Garcia, footprint of freedom.
Yeah, it is literally out in the middle of nowhere. You know, one of the biggest impressions that I had immediately when I set foot, literally, on the island, you know, walking off the C-141, was the customs immigrations officials, and they were wearing Bermuda shorts, and because this is a British territory, British overseas territory or something like that, and they're the government in charge of this place and all of the customs and stuff like that. And I thought, oh, people really do wear these kind of outfits. I mean, that was their uniform.
Yeah, sort of like Bermuda and stuff.
Yeah, just like. Oh wait, maybe that's why they call them Bermuda shorts. Why don't they call them Diego Garcia shorts? That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah.
All right. I think that with the waning... No, you know what? We probably get... Nah, I don't want to push it.
No. Let's wrap it up.
It might be one of those things where, you know, you look at the charge and something and you think, oh, I got plenty, and then all of a sudden, the last...
Oh, we made it to 2.5... 2 hours.
Did we?
Made it to 2 hours.
2 hours. That's good enough. And just as a reminder, hopefully this will be published in time for those of you attending AirVenture will hear the call that we will be trying to do some kind of a live show next week.
Just put that in the chat too, so yeah.
Pardon me?
I've just put it in the chat because James was asking what was going on there, and I said, yeah, you're going to do a show sometime, so.
Yeah, so follow us on the social media. Oh, why don't you do the social medias this week? Before you do that, you can get queued up. AirlinePilotGuy.com, our website. Head over there. Lots of good stuff. Information about the crew and the community calendar. We have amplified information, more detailed information on each of the plane tales that Captain Nick does. And there's merchandise. If you want to get your Osh 2022 APG shirt, it's there. The stickers are there, all kinds of good stuff. The APG library, Tiffany, I'm sorry. Tiffany is our librarian, and she does an amazing job of managing that for those of you who read. And what else? Anything else? Calendar, yeah, mentioned that. So, anyway, head over there, check it out. And we're also on social media, what I like to call the social medias. Take it away, Liz.
On Facebook at facebook.com/airlinepilotguy. And we're on Twitter. And at Twitter, it's, let me find it, at APG Crew. And all of the individual handles are there at APG Crew. And we put out messages, notifications on both Facebook and Twitter before shows to let you know. So stay tuned to those two channels for next week, and we'll let you know as soon as we can. And we're also on Instagram, and we're also APG Crew on Instagram. And if you're interested in a deep dive into more detailed discussions, you can go to Slack. Where is he?
Hello? Hello?
He's actually in Kenosha, Jeff. I know where he's spending the night.
Okay. He's not here.
No.
He's not responding to any of my calls. Well, you know what? Fortunately, Liz, we have a recording of him telling us about Slack.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas, we suggest episode and plain tales topics, we plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at Slack at airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo at airlinepilotguy.com. Or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thanks, Hillel, and I'll see you tomorrow when you fly into Oshkosh. We're supposed to have dinner together tomorrow night. And we'd also like to thank Liz Piper for her amazing job. As so many have said, she does all the heavy lifting here, all the hard work, and just makes all of us look good. And she's good at that. Thank you, Liz. And until next time, wishing you all clear skies, unlimited visibility, and talons, Douglas.
Bye-bye, everybody.
And that was a tribute to Glenn Towler, because this place here was Glenn Towler, rest in peace, his favorite place on earth. Yeah. And so
and Monday would be Glenn's birthday. He always had his birthday at Oshkosh. So.
Wow. And I think it's on Thursday. I should have mentioned that in the show. On Thursday, we're going to, a group of people are going to meet up and gather at the Brown Arch, and near the memorial brick for Glenn, and remember him and all the great times that we shared with him in the past. Okay.
Now, as for titles of the show, I think we should just go with Outdoors at Oshkosh or something like that. But our friend Tim Van Ram suggested There's a skeeter on my Peter. But I came back with There's a fly on my thigh.
A skeeter on my Peter and a fly on my thigh. That's a long title. How about Don't Let the Bed Bugs Bite? Yeah, these aren't bed bugs, though. Thank goodness. Well, that gives us something to think about, doesn't it? I'm sure that Nick will have a great time with bugs biting me out here in the outdoors. I think that's enough to work with, don't you think?
I think so.
Okay. Well, hey, thanks everybody for joining us on this experiment, this APG experiment in the outdoors. As soon as I put this backwoods insect repellent on, those flies, they just stop biting.
Yep, it works.
Bunch of dead flies on the ground. No, just kidding. There are. They just didn't bother.
Jeff, you should have squirted it at the tree. Maybe that woman would have fallen out.
What is wrong with are people so emotionally and psychologically messed up that they do things like that just to get attention from people?
It's an attention getting things that. I mean, maybe she does have some issues.
Yeah, that's
anyway,
just.
John says, "Thanks for remembering."
Yeah, you're welcome, John. I mean, you just when you get here, and I'm not a long timer here at Oshkosh. I'm really the very first time I visited Oshkosh was just for one afternoon back in 2017, and then in 2019 we made that our big meetup of the year, and Nick and I were here for 10 days, in the big RV, and we had a blast, and everybody was here at some point except I think Rick didn't make it, but Dana and Liz, you were here for several days, and Steph made it up. Captain Nick and I. Anyway, we had a grand time and great memories, and then just now. So I'm still a relative newbie when it comes to Oshkosh, but Glenn was certainly not a newbie. I don't know how many years consecutively.
It was the highlight of his year for sure, every year.
Yeah, and you just.
I think he loved being sort of the person who traveled the farthest to come to Oshkosh. That was one of his claims to fame.
And he was dubbed by many the mayor of Oshkosh. Yeah. So, or was it mayor of Air Venture?
Yeah, Air Venture, I think. Yeah.
Okay, one of those.
Just to round out the show, even though this is not Tim Van Ram.
You know how to get one-armed blonde out of a tree? Wave. Oh, a one-armed. How to get a one-arm? I read that wrong. I'm sorry. Good point, Tim. But she wasn't, well, I think she may have been a blonde, but she had like that red, bright red hair dye.
Anna.
Yeah, it wasn't henna. It was like bright red.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Pink almost. Yeah, thank you for hanging with us. We appreciate it, and hope to see some of you here or here next week.
Bye, everybody.